Right, and here we go. Kate, I can see you. Thank you so much for joining us. So tonight we're talking about scams that are sold as opportunities. And I'm sure we have heard about the word scam so many times. It is almost becoming part of our lives today. You keep hearing people talk about being scammed here and there, and it has become so common a word. But unfortunately, it seems that we do not have the ability to tell the difference between a scam and an opportunity. I will not go into the deeper semantics of the word, into the English and breaking down the word into what exactly it means dictionary-wise, but I'll simply say that a scam is a dishonest scheme. It's a scheme that is not honest. It is a fraud. It is something that is being presented as though it is what it is not. All right? Something that is being sold as though it is what it is not. In other words, we have the real thing, and then we have something else that is being sold as though it is the real thing, when in actual sense, it is not the real thing. So this is where we have to get it, that for a scam to happen, there has to be an original, a real thing. And then a scam comes in form of that real thing, when in essence, it is not that real thing. So basically, that is what a scam is. All right? In the common language of a wolf clothed in a sheep's skin, that's what a scam is. So you buy the wolf thinking you're buying a sheep, and then when you get home, then you realize that what you bought is not what you got. So that is a scam. And in many instances, scams come to benefit the scammers, those who perpetrate the scam, those who originate the scam, those who plan the scam, those who come up with that scheme. They usually make it in a way that it comes to benefit them. And in many cases, in most cases actually, it is coming to benefit them financially. So when they craft a scam, when they come up with that deceitful scheme, they're coming up with it so that at the end of the day, they will benefit at the expense of someone who is not able to differentiate between a scam and a real thing. And in many cases, they seek to benefit financially. Now, I don't know whether you've been scammed before. Long time ago, we used to say that for you to claim that you know how to live in this city, you must have encountered a scam at some point. And so many people have different stories to tell about how they've been scammed in this city. Many people have different encounters. Some encounters are so hilarious. Some encounters are so sad, just because of what happened to those people. And in many cases, I've encountered enough examples of people who got scammed and they actually ended up losing hope in life, and some of them actually had to take their own lives. So it's a serious thing here. But what we must all realize is that the scammers do not think through this process to the very end. The scammers have no time to reflect on what will happen to the scammed person. They do not have the time to think about how this thing will reflect in your life. What will happen to you after you have been scammed by them? To them, the story ends at the point of you getting scammed. That's it. The rest of the conversation is for you to handle. After you've been swindled of your hard-earned money, then how you will respond or react to that whole situation lies to you. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Edward. Edward is saying these people promise you heaven, and it is true. They have to play with your emotions. They have to capture your emotional attention, and before you know it, then you feel so wasted. You feel so bad that someone could actually take advantage of you in that particular manner, and not just taking advantage of you, of your intellect, but also going away with money, your money. Now, there are scams virtually in almost every area of life. People get scammed everywhere. We've encountered scams in employment. We've met people purporting to be employers, and they will promise you that they have ability to employ you. Okay? And we have people who purport to have links to potential employers, and therefore they will come with the promise that they can link you. They are the bridge to where job opportunities are found. And because everyone is looking for jobs, they know that when they tell you they can link you to where job opportunities are found, then they will have captured your attention. And so many people will be willing to go that particular direction. We have seen scams in banking. We have scammers who will scam the bank directly, trying to defraud the bank and get money from the bank, money that does not belong to them. But we also have scammers who will come to you and promise that they can help you secure a credit facility in a bank, for example. Let's say, for instance, you are listed with CRB adversely, and that means then that you are not able to access credit at the moment, but someone comes and tells you that even with your adverse listing, we can be able to give you access to credit. And so, because money is enticing, so many people begin to follow such people. So many people begin to show interest in such conversations. And that is how many of them begin to find themselves losing their money. So we need to be cautious. We have seen scams in business. Business people have suffered. So many people have presented themselves as though they are clients. And they come and make very huge orders, and you start smiling that Christmas has come early for your business. And before you know it, you've released your goods or you've rendered your services, and before you realize, you have lost your hard-earned money. So we have to be cautious here, because even those in business have not been spared. We have seen scams even in education. People promising that they can offer you chance to study abroad. People promising that they can offer you scholarships. And because they know that so many people are looking for such opportunities, then when they sound the message that they can offer you opportunity to study abroad, they know that so many people will be willing and will be listening to them. And that is where the trouble begins to happen. We have seen enough scams in the world of investment. So many people presenting things that are clothed as investment opportunities. But before you know it, you find that you have lost your money, yet you thought you were trying to multiply your money. So let's take a pause with that brief description of what a scam is and what a scam looks like. Let me introduce this other element, the element of opportunity. Now, opportunity is simply a set of circumstances that make it possible for you to do something that will be of value to you. An enabling environment that makes it possible for you to do something that will add value to you. That is an opportunity. Now, the reality about human beings is that every human being wakes up in the morning thinking about opportunities. Every human being is interested in opportunities. Every human being is seeking for opportunities every other day. Now, we are looking for opportunities to make money. We are looking for opportunities to work abroad. We're looking for opportunities to study abroad. People are looking for opportunities to even get married. And yes, we have scammers in the marriage field. So many people cry foul. So many people realize later that the people they got entangled with were not what they purported to be. And that is a scam. So many people are looking for opportunities to get employed. The unemployment level is just at another level, especially in the developing countries. And therefore, as everyone wakes up dreaming of getting an opportunity to get employed, the scammers are on the watch looking for these people who are dying to get these opportunities. People are looking for opportunities for business. Those who have businesses are waking up every morning praying that this day they will meet clients, they will sell, they will make profit like never before. So everyone is running up and down looking for an opportunity. People are looking for opportunities to invest. People have saved money, people have gotten money, people have earned money, and they want to place this money somewhere where the money can begin to earn them something. So everyone is looking for an opportunity, one way or the other. Now, this constant search for opportunities, this undying search for opportunities, is what begins to set all of us up to be scammed. Smart guys sat down and realized that human beings have this undying urge for opportunities. And therefore, they decided that instead of following the process, they are going to cut corners. They are going to come to you clothed as the solutions to your urge for opportunities. And because you are looking for opportunities, they know that there is high probability a good number of people will listen to them. And that is how they're going to get money out of your pocket willingly, but then leave you shedding tears. So it is this inherent need in us to get opportunities that begins to set us up for scams. Now, some people sit down and ask themselves whether we still have genuine opportunities around. And the truth is that, yes, we still have genuine opportunities, but then it takes a keen eye to be able to spot genuine opportunities, to be able to tell genuine opportunities from scams. Right? But the big question is, so why do people get scammed quite a lot? How come that even after alerts have been sounded, that this particular kind of dealings is a red flag for scams? And we'll be looking at some of the red flags in a short while. How come people are still getting scammed? How come people still fall prey to these schemes? You know, sometimes someone narrates to you how they've been scammed, and both of you end up laughing because it doesn't really make sense that someone could be scammed in that particular manner, but they've been scammed. There are those people who used to declare that they are smart, they cannot be scammed until they meet their match. And they will also come and narrate their story that they also got scammed. But in many cases, there are some things that remain constant. There are some things that set people up for scamming. There are some things that move you closer to scamming, to getting scammed, than if you did not get yourself in some of these things that I want to mention. And I can see Leah suggesting that it's because we want to grow rich very fast, and that is very true. That is one of them. Why do people get scammed? These are the things I call the fuels of scamming, and I just want to mention about 4 of them. There are so many. There are so many things that fuel scamming, and one of them is what I call ignorance. You know, so many years back, the word ignorance used to get me worked up. I used to perceive ignorance as as a big insult. So if you tell me that I'm ignorant, before I understood what ignorance meant, I used to really think that such a person has really insulted me. And I can see my very good teacher of English, Zachary Wambei, following. Pardon me, Mwalimu. It took me a lot of time to realize that the word ignorance is not a very bad word after all. It simply connotes the fact that you lack information, you lack knowledge in a particular field. So these days, I do not feel so bad if you say I'm ignorant in a particular field, if it's true that I do not have knowledge and information in that particular field. So ignorance is one of the fuels of of scamming. So many people do not have information in certain areas. And what scammers do is that sometimes they pick those areas that they know very few people have knowledge of. And so when they approach you, they bombard you with a lot of jargon. And if you're not keen, you get tired and say, all right, to get these guys off my back, let me just sign up for this thing that they are selling. And that is how you realize that you've gotten yourself scammed. So we have to stop being lazy and begin to seek for knowledge, begin to seek for information. And especially where you are placing your money. I like saying, do not put your money in a place where you do not understand what happens in that particular place. If people come and call for your money and the things they're explaining to you do not make sense or you cannot understand them, then either they cannot explain what they are selling or they deliberately are choosing to sell you a different thing than what they are avoiding to explain. Either way, the odds are high that you are getting scammed or you are setting yourself to lose money. Right? So that is the first fuel of scamming. And the second fuel, and this is big, is the love for shortcuts. So many people would do anything to follow the shortest route to anything. I read somewhere a long time ago that all human beings are naturally lazy. That given chance, all of us, if all our bills were paid, if everything that makes us wake up in the morning was taken care of by someone else, chances are high that so many of us would be sleeping full time. And when I think about some of these things, I tend to see sense in that particular argument because our love for shortcuts is at another level. People want things to happen and they want things to happen now. Yet the truth of life is that success is not an event, whichever way you want to define success. Success is a process. Success is a journey. It is not a destination. Success is not something you achieve at the snip of your fingers and say, so today I'm successful, I've closed the chapter of success, and you sit down and fold your arms. So even as we seek to succeed, whichever way we define succeeding, the truth is that there is always a process that is attached to every good thing. Unfortunately, so many of us are seeking to dodge that process. And these smart guys know that very many people will do anything to find the shortest route to achieve what they seek to achieve. And that's why they come promising you heaven on earth, because they know that you seek to get to that heaven, but you don't want to follow the due process that will get you to that heaven. And that's how we end up beginning to lose whatever we have. So this is where the point of wanting to get rich quick comes in. What Leah has mentioned, that people are so much in need of getting rich, but they do not want to study the process of getting rich. You know, I like saying that the danger in society today is that so many of us admire fruits without taking time to study the roots. True inspiration is not in the things that we see with the people that we admire. True inspiration lies in the process that enabled them to get those things that we see them having. Until the day we get to realize that we have to study the process and be ready to follow the process, then we still have a long way to go. You know, in life, it does not take long for you to realize that shortcuts are actually very long cuts, extremely long cuts. So even as you seek to grow wealthy, let's call it rich, because for you to grow wealthy, then you must follow due process. I like saying that the journey of wealth creation and patience are inseparable. Wealth creation and patience are inseparable. They work together. So even if you seek to get money quickly, You must realize that you are trying to dodge a process that is undodgeable, if there is a word like that. You're trying to dodge a process that cannot be dodged. And before long, so many people begin to realize that they were actually scammed because they sought a shorter route. And the shorter route that they were following was actually leading them to nowhere. So our love for shortcuts is dangerous. My brother Richard, I can see you. Thank you for joining. Now, the third fuel is desperation. Desperation. There are times in life when human beings get to a point of desperation, to a point where you want something so bad. But let me say this before I say a lot. Every time you feel desperate, just know you are a good culprit. You are a good patient of scamming. You're a good customer for scamming. Every time you realize that you are desperate, every time you find yourself saying, I desperately need this, I desperately need this, just know that if you are not careful, then you are setting yourself for scamming. You know, sometimes when you want something so badly, you get to a point of saying, I can do anything to get this thing. Now, when you say you can do anything, if you're not cautious, you're simply saying that you are welcoming any idea that is promising to get you to that thing, even if that idea is an idea you do not understand. Right? So, every time you get to a level where you feel so desperate, just realize that you are becoming vulnerable for scamming. There are people who are so desperate to get a job. There are people who are so desperate to make money, so desperate to build a house, so desperate to get a spouse. Now, this one is serious. There are people who are just so desperate to get a spouse, and before they know it, someone realizes their desperation, clothes himself or herself like that spouse they are looking for, presents himself like that spouse, and within a short time, our person here who was desperate is head over heels in love. I shouldn't even call it love, because the feeling we get as a result of quenching desperation needs to get a different name aside from love. Yeah. So these two people get together, but the scammer comes into this situation knowing that they have a jackpot to hit. They have a clear target. They only needed access. And once they get access, then trouble begins to happen. Right? My brother Felix, I can see you. And you're asking a pertinent question here. How about companies that listed shares in the NSC and whose share price declined to ridiculous levels because of consistent losses? Why were such companies listed in the first place? It's a good question to reflect on. The requirements we would want to look into before we get to list the companies that we list, and even beyond that, the games that get to be played to influence the share prices, and to get people on board. And once they get on board, then they realize that things were not what they expected. And I think this is a conversation that we need to strike one of these days, and just get to clarify some things, and just get to sharpen ourselves, so that even as we consider certain elements of investments, then we are able to distinguish between what is from what isn't. So thank you so much for that particular point of reflection. Indeed, so many people have also fallen prey. You know, scamming does not just have to happen because someone was faking an original. There are also those who come in the name of an original, but within the original, they also begin to present certain things that deviate from what the original ought to be doing. And then people who will join, courtesy of the brand that is original, after they have joined, they also, if not very keen, can find themselves scammed while inside that particular thing. So I was talking about desperation, and desperation is a serious fuel. It sets you up for scamming. There are people who will attend trainings, and they'll be told how they need to have achieved certain things in life by a certain age, and so life is interesting. Life is not scripted. So sometimes, even as we tell people that you ought to have achieved this by age this, there is someone listening to that conversation who is way beyond that age. And if they are not careful, after hearing such information, they leave that particular meeting charged, and they're charged with desperation, that I have lost my years, that that particular person has said I ought to have acquired my house by age 30. I am now 50. I do not even have a house. I need to get a house by all means. That desperation can turn catastrophic. I have met people who've been scammed of their retirement dues. Your final package. And when you have money, there is a way those guys have antennas that tap into the knowledge that you have money, and ideas will be floated by everyone around you. Everyone becomes an expert. Everyone has suggestions that are promising heaven on earth, and some people get confused. Someone is telling you need to invest in this business. Another one is telling you need to do this. You need to construct a house. You need to start this and the other. And before long, people realize that they have actually been scammed. And this is a big thing that people have to be cautious. Life is not scripted. Much as you will learn that some things you ought to have done back in the day, but they're still relevant in your life, remember to customize that inspiration to suit your current situation. Do not rush to cover what ought to have been covered in 20 years in a day, because you might end up with burnt fingers. And that will not be a situation that will be interesting for you. The fourth fuel is what I call comparison. Comparison. There is always this urge to want to catch up. There is always the urge, what we call FOMO, the fear of missing out. You don't want to be left behind, and you are constantly checking on your peers. You are constantly checking on the people you studied with, and every time you visit a friend, you realize they are living in their own house and you're still renting, or they are renting, but they are renting a 3-bedroom house, you're still in a bed-sitter. You look at the car they're driving and you're still doing matatu. You've not even started doing Uber. And you check at those things, and there is some lying urge in you. There is a deceitful urge that begins to push you into wanting to compete, into wanting to compare yourself with these people. Now, comparison is actually a dream killer because many times you try to compete with people whose stories you do not actually understand. Then, before you know it, and the danger here is that you're competing with people who are not even aware that you're competing with them. All right? So you realize that your neighbor's children are schooling in school X, and you begin to tell yourself, I must also get mine in that particular school, or in a school that is better than them. You begin to want to compete. You begin to engage the competition gear. Sometimes men are serious culprits of this. In a different conversation, when we're talking couple things for marriage, in what I call enhancing financial intimacy in marriage, I like mentioning that while women will be comparative, women will come and tell you, so and so is look at her, we were together, look at how she's performing, look at how he's performing, your classmates. But their conversation a lot of times ends there. But the man wants to engage a competitive gear. Have you driven or been driven by someone on the highway And then there is this temptation when a car that in other definitions is supposed to be inferior to yours bypasses you, then there is this urge in the driver to want to engage a competitive gear, to want to outdo this car that is supposedly inferior to his, and they begin to engage in a chase. And the person you're chasing is not even aware that you're chasing them. The person you're chasing has his own journey. Perhaps they're carrying a sick person, they're rushing to hospital, but you're feeling so bad that how can this car, a car of this stature, pass my car? And you feel so bad and you engage a competitive gear. So when you begin to compete and to compare with your peers in life, you begin to get to a point where you are ready to do anything to get to what you need to get. And now that is when you begin to set yourself up for scamming. So we have to be cautious also, even as we want to compare, even as we fear missing out. We don't want to be left behind. We want to catch up. We have to realize that that particular comparison is fuel for scamming. So when you meet a scammer who is promising to make you better than your neighbor in a split of a second, you will give them anything in your possession so that then you can be able to get that thing that you're looking for. So we have to be cautious. Now let me stop there with the fuels. The fuels are so many. But what prompted me to organize for this particular live session is the questions that I get in my inbox, and mostly the questions regarding signs of a scam, the questions regarding the telltale signs. How do we tell? How do we get to differentiate between a scam and the real thing? Now, I want to attempt to give us a good number of signs. There are so many. I tried listing them and I realized we cannot talk about them in one sitting. But I want to very quickly brush through some of the indicators of a scam, some of the signs that will be red flags that you look at and realize that this thing is not real. This thing could be a scam. And as I began by saying, so many of us have been scammed, and especially where money is concerned, right from the days of pyramid schemes, the days of the daisies of this world and such schemes. So many people have lost their money. So many people have lost their money on scams that are touching on gold. So many people have bought fake gold in the promise that they will be able to resell the gold and make a lot of money. So many people have lost their money in foreign exchange. People come to you and they are holding things that look like dollars, and they're saying that if you help them exchange, then they will give you a big cut, and you look at this cut and you're like, yes, this is just what I needed, because I need money so badly. And they tell you for them to trust you, then you need to give them some deposit so that they can give you the dollars for you to go and exchange. And I have met people who actually go and take a loan so that they can pay these guys deposit so that they can be given the dollars to go and exchange. I think sometimes we let ourselves down. For goodness sake, someone is telling you that they have dollars, they don't know where to exchange. They are acting so naive, and we can't even stop for a second to question the origin of the dollars. and who is this who is willing to give me quite a big chunk of whatever we'll have exchanged for only for showing them where they can exchange, and eventually for them asking us to exchange for them. And then we realize that we are left with a briefcase of papers, of newspapers, and our hard-earned money, sometimes our borrowed money, is gone by the wind. All right? And others have also lost their money in schemes that have come clothed as forex trading, and especially online forex trading. Now, this is not to say that all online forex trading is a scam. As I mentioned, for scamming to happen, there is an original version, and then there is another thing that comes to imitate the original version. to get you into it thinking that you're getting into the original version. So there are so many platforms purporting to conduct online forex trading that are not licensed. And people get there following the promises for those huge returns. And before they know it, the thing has collapsed and their money is gone. So these are some of the signs of a scam, the red flags, the things that will alert you that things could not be what you think they are. Number one, when you realize that you are getting contacted, someone is contacting you from nowhere, from the blues, people who cannot explain how they got your contacts. You know, courtesy demands that when you call a stranger, at least you can explain how you got their contacts. Hello, my name is so and so. I was referred to you by so and so. I got your contacts through so and so. But you have people, strange people, calling you, and they begin to engage you in a conversation that is taking the direction of a deal, but they cannot substantiate how they got your contacts. Then you have to be very cautious. And when you try to ask them how they got your contacts, they are trying to downplay the fact that it's important for them to let you know how they got your contacts. That is a red flag that you could just have started your journey towards getting scammed. The second indicator, the second red flag, is when you find yourself being rushed in the process. People are explaining to you how a certain product works, but they are so quick in the explanation. They do not want to take your questions. They are so fast in their explanation. They are rushing you to sign papers. Take a moment and ask yourself exactly what you're about to get yourself into. So every time you find people rushing you, every time you find people uncomfortable with anything that would delay the process, take a moment and ask yourself what you could be getting yourself into. Now, that is not to say that you must understand everything, but that is to say that you must be at peace with the fact that you at least have reasonable knowledge or reasonable agreement with what is being sold to you. Don't just be rushed through the process. People come to you with papers that have already been marked with X's where you're supposed to sign, and they're explaining this is how this product works. Just append your signature here. We've marked for you where you need to sign. What are you signing? Those are red flags that you must be on the lookout for before things get late for you. If you find yourself in a situation, and this is the other red flag, where these strange people are asking a lot of your personal information that is not warranted. People are digging out information from you that you actually are not even comfortable giving. Then, you know, you are not, no one should force you to give them information that you're not comfortable giving out. So if you find people introducing a subject, when before you understand this subject, they're already trying to dig a lot of private and personal information from you, then you need to also take a moment and establish whether it is still prudent for you to continue listening to them or not. Sometimes you just get crafty, give them some nice excuse so that you buy time to dig out what or who these people truly are. Now, the fourth red flag, and this is not just a red flag, it's a serious indicator. It's our gut feeling. It's our instincts. If you check out from people who've been scammed before, you realize that a good number of them say that they had this feeling that something within them was telling them that something was not right. But the mistake they did is that they went ahead against such feeling to sign up for the deal. Sometimes we have to learn to obey our instincts. We have to learn to do something in response to our gut feelings, If you feel that something is not right, take a moment and reestablish facts so that should you choose to sign for it, at least you have done due diligence that is satisfactory based on your level of knowledge of whatever it is that is is on the table, right? So we should also learn to get red flags every time we feel uncomfortable about a particular deal. The other indicator will be unprofessional language. If people come to you purporting to represent this very serious organization, but the language they are using is not of standard matching the standard of the organization they purport to represent, then that's a big red flag. So many of us want to brush that aside quickly and want it to pass as mere typos and mere grammatical errors. And we want to say, these people are human beings like myself. You see, big organizations have reputation to protect. Brands have a name to protect. They will not just make typos and typos. They will not just use language that is unbecoming. They will not just throw words carelessly in their emails. So when guys are sending you emails purporting to come from this official source, but the organization they represent is of a stature higher than the language they are using, then you have every right to take a moment to really dig out and find out who you're dealing with. And sometimes it does no harm to counter check, to check again with the original organization, to just find out whether there is such a deal as the deal you are being promised here. Another red flag, and I've alluded to it, is when you find people who are uncomfortable with your questions. You know, when someone is bringing a product to you and you're trying to ask questions, seeking to understand what they're trying to say that product is coming to offer, or everything that they're talking about in that particular product. And when you try to ask questions, they get uncomfortable and they don't want you to continue asking those questions. Then chances are high that you are dealing with scammers. So I'm actually trying to encourage you to ask questions. And then when you realize that people are uncomfortable with them, then you know the right thing to do. The other indicator that you could be dealing with scammers is when you cannot see the product that is being sold. Now, I want you to be keen here because many people have signed up for things that they cannot see. When you find yourself being introduced to something or to a company whose product you cannot see or you cannot seem to understand, be very, very cautious. Because it is at this point where we begin to draw the line between multi-level marketing and a pyramid scheme, right? And this is why I'm saying we have to, let us listen keenly here. Because today we have so many outfits out there that come clothed as multi-level outfits, right? And they present themselves as doing multi-level marketing, what has been called network marketing. But in reality, they are pyramid schemes. I want to say something that could help someone here. There is a very thin line to the common person between a genuine multi-level marketing outfit and a pyramid scheme. Let me begin by acknowledging that multi-level marketing is a brilliant idea that was brought about to help push sales. That means that the companies that thought of multi-level marketing as a mode of pushing sales already had products that needed to be pushed into the market. And then in the process of pushing the products, profits would be realized courtesy of the sales, and such proceeds would trickle down to the people who have helped push those sales. So the promise here is if you help us push our products, then profits that are made by the people below you who also push those sales, you stand to get a cut. You stand to get something out of the proceeds that come as a result of selling the product. So if someone comes and tells you that they are doing multi-level marketing, but they are not able to tell you what product it is that they are selling, don't walk away, run away, right? So these days, you will meet so many people coming from these outfits. And I'm not here to mention names, but I want to give you things that will help you be able to tell. I remember at some point having this conversation with someone who started telling me, now I think I am representing a scam. And in the fullness of time, the scam collapsed, and people lost their money, and the person realized they were actually selling a scam. So there are people who are actually recruited in that thing, selling it, but they do not know they're selling a scam because they do not have the distinction between a proper multi-level outfit and a pyramid scheme. And this other indicator that I want to give, it's actually the 8th indicator, is tied together with the 7th indicator. You know, the 7th indicator, I'm saying if you can't see the product being peddled, then chances are high that you are being scammed. Because a multi-level agency, marketing agency, is pushing a product. And as they push the product, it is actually someone's right to opt to buy the product without the need to be recruited. Well, as a player in the multi-level marketing outfit, your chances of getting a good share of the profits, and especially the passive aspect of it, come when you can also recruit people who can buy into the idea of also continuing to push the product, even as they also get others to continue pushing the products. But if you get a client who is saying, I only am interested in the product, but I'm not ready to sign up for recruiting others, then you still go ahead and sell the product. But if you find someone who has a product, but when you opt to only buy the product without getting recruited and they refuse to sell you the product, then they are not marketing anything. You're dealing with a scam. So the 8th indicator is when you find people emphasizing on recruitment at the expense of a product. When people come and tell you that you must join this, you have to join this outfit. And when you join with amount X. And then when you let other people join below you, every amount they pay to join, you have a cut from it. My friend, you are busy pyramiding. If you find people making a lot of noise about recruitment and they are very quiet about the product, be very cautious. It sounds like I'm preaching. It's because I meet so many people crying because of this thing. So these are the questions you need to be asking. What product are you pushing? Is this product beneficial to me? You know, you can only sell a product you believe in. So if someone is selling through multi-level marketing a product that may not benefit you, you look at this product, you are so sure, even if you signed up, you may not be able to also sell it because you don't believe in it. Then, as you sign up, you are also setting yourself, because if you expect to earn from the lines below you and you are not able to create lines below you, then you have stuck, right? So let us be cautious. When we are asked to recruit, now let me say something here that is also interesting. The guys who sell scams in the name of multi-level marketing, the guys who do pyramid scheming, they have realized that we will tell you to look for the product they're selling. Some of them have become so crafty and have introduced a product called the introductory product. right? Now, this product is what they use as a bait for recruitment. So if you find people saying that you need to buy this product, and when you buy it, you have joined, and then they stop there, they don't tell you to also keep selling the product. They only tell you to find people you can also sell the product to so that they also get recruited. And then from the time you get recruited, there is no noise about continuing to sell the product. There is noise about we need to recruit so many people to buy the product. Now, there's a difference between saying we need to sell this product to so many people, we need to recruit so many other people to help us sell this product, and saying we need to recruit so many people through buying this product. There's a big difference between those two things. So they have introduced what they call an introductory product. So they will tell you that to join, you have to buy this package. So why is the product attached together with joining to an extent that they cannot be separated? Those are the questions we need to be asking. Is it possible that I can buy the product and not join for multi-level marketing now until a time when I'm ready? If they refuse, then they have no interest in the product. The product is only a recruitment bait. I wish I could say more, but in the interest of time, let me move on. The other red flag is avoidance of official communication. When you find people talking to you about a deal, but every time you suggest that they send you an email, they begin to be slippery. They begin to avoid it. It's because they are trying to avoid a trail. So when people avoid official channels of communication, then you need to be so afraid. Things could just be going the other way. Another indicator is when people promise you ridiculous returns that are of a scale that is out of this world, then you need to be cautious. You need to be very cautious. Now, this is where many people get caught. Courtesy of what we mentioned, our urge to want to get rich quickly is also getting so many of us into trouble. Now, people who are building wealth are doing it procedurally. It is going to take them time. Sometimes you sit down and you want to achieve something, but you look at the time it will take you if you follow the due process, and you look at the returns that people are promising you, and then you take your hard-earned money and you give them because they're promising to triple your money in 1 month. They're promising you returns that are ridiculous. Money is a logical subject. It's not an emotional subject. Unfortunately, it brings out a lot of emotions. So we cannot separate it from emotions. But we have to realize that for us to go far financially, we must always remember that some logic is called in our actions. So what scammers do is that they whip us emotionally. They whip our emotions. And they get us excited when they promise certain returns. And you will be acting in the heat of the moment to get money to give them so that the money can triple in a month's time. And before you know it, nothing is happening. For those of you that have been following what I do on YouTube here, what I call the By the Way series, and those of us that are joining us for the first time, kindly take a moment to just press the subscription button. Please subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of the videos that I upload here every other week. There is the By the Way series, the conversations that the short videos that I upload here to give you what I call the By the Way moment. Those videos you watch, you listen to something and you're like, by the way, I never thought about it this way, right? And so in one of the By the Way series, I mentioned that if someone comes and asks you to give them your money in the form of investment, and they promise you returns that are ridiculous, that are bigger than normal, then you need to pause and ask critical questions. And this is the question I suggested you ask. And I want to suggest that after this, or at your free time, find time to look for that by the way message. Ask these people, or try to ask yourself, what is it that these people are going to do with my money that will give them returns big enough for them to pay me the ridiculous returns and also remain with their cut, because they're in business. If we are investing through them, then they're also making money from our investment. Someone is promising to give you returns of 30% per month, but you are not sure what they do with your money. They cannot even substantiate what they do with your money behind the scenes that grows so fast to enable them give you the 30% returns and also get their profit for facilitating the investment. If it doesn't make sense, you are better off staying with your money. But you have to differentiate between your fears and the returns that are promised that are worrying. Because a lot of times we fall for these schemes because we are chasing the big returns. So someone does his maths and realizes that instead of investing my money in this venture that will give me, say, 12% per annum, and another person is promising me 30% here in a month, that means by 12 months, I will be a millionaire. And I have also met people who have gone to take bank loans to put in those schemes to get 30% per month. Interestingly, they will get 30% month one, even before due date. They'll get 30% if they are lucky, month two, and stories begin month three. And before they know it, their capital is gone. My heart goes out to those that have used their employment, their final employment dues, and given those dues to such people, those that have lost such monies, because it has not been easy for them. I've met with a good number of them, and I can assure you that it's not an experience you may wish your worst enemy to go through. You can imagine you've been working for 30-something years, you've retired, you've gotten your money, someone comes and tells you, if you give us this money, we'll give you 30% per month. You give them that money, it's the final money. By all standards, perhaps the largest amount you've ever touched throughout your employment life. And then the money just goes like that. It is a disheartening feeling, and it has killed some people. So when you're promised those high returns, be on the alert. Some promises are serious red flags. And lastly, the last indicator for tonight, if there is a wide gap between the promised process and the actual process, you need to be cautious. You know, there are certain processes that are long, they are very lengthy. But there could be a shorter way, but there is always some sense in the shortness of the shorter way. And in some other cases, the shortness is an alert. You're trying to do something that has 10 processes, rather a process that has 10 stages. And someone comes and tells you that instead of the 10 stages, we can actually achieve this thing in 2 stages. And because you want to save time, and because you want to achieve this thing so quickly, you buy into the idea. But 10 and 2, the gap is so huge. We would understand if someone promises 8 or 7 stages or thereabout. But a promise that is below half the stage, someone telling you we can do this in 1 step, yet the due process requires 10 steps, that's a serious red flag. So good people, that is how you begin to tell a scam from the real thing. Just mentioning a few of them. I told you there are so many, and we do not have a lot of time. We should be signing out in the next 10 minutes. But let me tell you a few tips of how you can begin to beat a scam, how you can begin to avoid getting scammed, to reduce your chances of getting scammed. Again, This is a very long list, but I also just want to mention a few for tonight. Number one, always be sure to perform background checks of the people that are selling this thing to you. Try to establish who owns this thing, who is behind this thing, what is their history. Are they people who have sold things that can be banked on before? You know, one interesting thing, and I want you to check around. Many people who have been selling scams, when you get hooked to the fact that you can sell scams, your life wants to revolve around scams. And I'm sure you have helped me realize that many of these people are jumping from one scam to the other, right? Today they are selling product X and they are promising you heaven on earth with product X. But when the system for product X collapses, you meet them tomorrow, they are with another thing, a new system, a new name that is also promising to give huge returns, ridiculous returns. By the way, I must mention also as another red flag, when you find something that is whipping the market, something that is sweeping, it's a whirlwind that is collecting everyone, everyone is being urged to join, it's the new thing, it's a wave, it's a huge thing. Such things want to give you the feeling that you're being left behind. Be cautious when everyone is running in the same direction. Be very cautious. So perform background checks. Find out who is behind this particular scheme. Don't just fall for the promises. Number two, you can also try to check user reviews. A lot of times you're not the first person to encounter this particular scheme. There are others who came before you. And user reviews can be found on the internet, can be found everywhere. Try to Google out what others are saying about it. That is the time you will read of someone who's saying how much they lost because of this thing. Chances are high that some things get here when they started in other countries, and people have already done reviews for them. So take a moment and check out what others have said about it. Check out for user reviews. If it's a product, what have others who've used it before said about it? If you're shopping online, before you click to add that thing on the cart, find out what others have said about it. It will help you make a sober decision as to whether to go ahead with the transaction or not. Number three, acquire knowledge. Do not be lazy to get knowledge. Don't sit and say, I don't like reading. Don't sit and say, I stopped schooling. I finished school. No one finishes. We finish the academic school. We don't graduate from the school of life. Keep learning. Acquire knowledge. And especially knowledge on some things that are being sold to you. Don't allow your laziness to allow you buy into things that get you regretting in a short span of time. So acquire knowledge. Number four, it is good to acknowledge, as I've mentioned, that success is not an event, it is a process. There is a process attached to every good thing. Every time you find yourself trying to circumvent the process, just know that you're setting yourself for trouble. Number five, and I've also mentioned that we have to acknowledge that wealth creation and patience are inseparable. They work together. Resist the urge to fall for shortcuts. It would rather take you a little bit longer and create a solid foundation than rush and come up with something that does not make sense. Number six, be cautious when they ask you to pay upfront. Yes, people are asking you to pay upfront, but you can't answer the question, how do I follow up in case they delay in doing what they are promising? If you can't find a solid answer to the question of how you will follow up, then resist that temptation, because that is likely to be a dangerous thing. So if they are pushing you to pay upfront and you do not have a fallback plan, you do not have security attached to your paying upfront, chances are high that you're getting scammed. So reduce chances of paying upfront for the things that you acquire. And number seven, you have to learn to question deals that appear to be too good to be true. When people are promising you huge things, ask the questions that I've talked about. Make them uncomfortable. And when you sense that they are uncomfortable, then begin to do the right thing. And you know what the right thing is. Good people, I wish I would have said more and more. This is a very interesting conversation. This is a conversation that we can have for a very long time. And in training settings, we would have shared enough real life experiences of how we've been scammed. But I know as I've been speaking, you have actually seen yourself or someone you know who has been scammed before. But every time you get scammed, do not just emerge with regrets. Pick lessons, find out what it is that you failed to do right, so that then you can be able to safeguard yourself. The beauty of life is that to be forewarned is to be forearmed. So when you have the right information, when you have lessons you've picked from your previous failures and encounters with these guys, then you know how to respond better to them next time. Tragedy is when you encounter them and you don't pick lessons and you meet them again and you meet them again. I have met a guy who was scammed a record 5 times in an almost similar way. And today he is reeling with the effect of the trap of debt because he borrowed heavily to pour money into things that promised very quick returns. Unfortunately for him, when the first one hit him, he didn't realize. The second one came, he poured money again. The third one came, he poured money. He convinced all people around him to also borrow and give him money. And the thing ended up affecting him quite a lot. His story is not unique. It's a story of so many other people. And so I just want to urge us to be very cautious, even as we live this world, even as we want to achieve the things that we want to achieve. Let us always learn that the shortest route is the route of due process. Thank you so much for those of us who found time to join me tonight. Apologies for starting a couple of minutes late. Please subscribe before you leave if you are joining here for the first time. I will also post this video after this so that those that want to come back and refer can also come back and refer. You can also share it with your friends thereafter so that we can continue learning together. Those that have questions, feel free to send to my various inboxes so that we can keep this conversation going. Thank you so much, good people. God bless you so much. Have yourselves a blessed night. Until we meet again, be on the watch for our next live. We will announce through our usual channels. Thank you, and I sign out.